formed, God created Adam, the very first human. He gave Adam dominion over everything, the birds in the sky, the fish in the sea, but as powerful as Adam was, he was still lonely, no one to talk to. One evening, after a long day of naming animals and probably chasing squirrels, Adam went to sleep. God saw this moment as an opportunity to make Adam happy. So he took out a rib and created the perfect companion, Eve. When Adam woke up and saw Eve for the first time, the two got along great. They explored paradise, laughed, and Adam even gave Eve a giant flower. Then God stopped by and gave them one rule. Do not eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. Simple, right? They both agreed and went about their day. Adam got back to naming animals. Meanwhile, Eve ran into a serpent. This snake wasn't just slithery, he was slick. He told Eve that God was just gatekeeping and insisted she eat the fruit. Eve hesitated. She knew the rule, but the serpent was convincing. Too convincing. So she took a bite, then walked over to Adam and asked him to try it. And just like that, everything changed. Adam realized what he'd done. The boy panicked. He and Eve dove into the bushes thinking a couple leaves could hide them from the creator of the universe. Then suddenly God pulled up and asked where his children were. They had no choice but to reveal themselves. God asked why they were hiding, even though he already knew what happened. They told God that they ate the forbidden fruit. God was not happy. Sin and death officially entered the world that day, and the paradise party was over. Adam and Eve begged for forgiveness, but the damage was done. God banished them from the Garden of Eden and handed them clothes to remind them what they lost. But God wasn't done yet. He turned to the serpent, then summoned thunder from the sky like he was aura-maxing. The serpent froze in fear, trembling. Then God rebuked him on the spot. Then the serpent ran, and as soon as the serpent thought he was safe, after Adam and Eve were sent out of the garden, they began a new life, and soon they had two sons, Cain and Abel. Cain, the firstborn, became a farmer. He worked the soil and took pride in growing fruits and vegetables. Abel, his younger brother, became a shepherd. He cared for flocks and had a soft spot for his animals, especially one prize calf he raised with care. Abel had a cheerful spirit, always doing his best, while Cain often kept to himself. Over time, Cain started getting feelings of jealousy. One day, both brothers brought an offering to the Lord. Cain brought some of the crops he had grown, but they looked like scraps. He didn't even try to get good ones. But Abel went above and beyond. He offered the best of his flock, choosing the healthiest and fattest young calf as his gift to God. He gave it with a sincere heart, and God was pleased. So the two of them were running in circles filled with joy. But from the distance, Cain was watching. For him, he had enough. Jealousy had been growing in him like a beanstalk. So he went over to Abel's little hut and told him they should hang out somewhere just to chill. Little did Abel know this was going to be his last hangout ever. Quickly they made it to no man's land, a dry, quiet place far from everything. Cain was waiting for this moment. He told Abel to look, and while he was distracted, it was too late. Cain took him down. The boy's life was taken away. Cain snuck back inside the garden only to see God appear right in front of his face. He asked where his brother was. Cain tried to act clueless, but God knew everything and was furious. The joy that once filled the land disappeared. A heavy judgment fell on Cain. From that day forward, his harvests would fail, plants would wilt, fruit would rot, and the soil would no longer welcome him. After Cain killed Abel, earth was full of evil. Wickedness ruled the land, and God regretted making man on earth, and his heart was full of grief. He decided he was going to wipe out all humans except for Noah and his family. Noah was a jolly boy-o. He loved God with all his heart, even when no one did. As Noah went off to buy some seeds until unexpectedly God showed up. He warned Noah of a massive flood big enough to cover the earth, so he told Noah to build an ark. A gigantic boat that would carry Noah, his family, and two of every living creature, male and female. Noah didn't question it. He just nodded and got to work like a good boy. He started off gathering wood for the ark until a group of boys pulled up with fresh fades, loud sandals, and zero respect. They asked Noah what he was doing, and Noah told them that he was making an ark because God was going to flood the world. But they laughed, mocked the poor boy, and called him crazy. Eventually, they left him alone. But Noah kept going, year after year, until finally the ark was done. The same gangsters came back, still talking nonsense, saying he trying to make a wannabe Titanic. That's when Noah's wife stepped in. She crashed out. She pressed them and built up so much aura they backed off. And before you know it, all the animals showed up 2 by 2. Meanwhile, the gangsters still goofing around, stealing apples like it was snack time. But then, rain. They were startled by the sudden rain, then out of nowhere, God appeared. The gangsters tried to act tough, sizing him up like they had a chance. But nah, they were about to get heavenly humbled. The flood rose and kept rising. The gangsters cooked. No floaties, no future. Slowly, the tide absorbed the boys into the ocean floor. But for Noah, the ark rose with the water. The flood was so strong the ark started to spaz out. After many days, Noah released a dove, hoping for a sign. Nothing at first. But one day, it came back with a leaf. Land was near. Noah and his crew started dancing on deck, probably the first ever flood party. After a few more days, the ark gently landed. When they stepped outside, they were shocked. Everything was gone, scattered. But in that moment, God gave them a promise. A rainbow stretched across the sky. It was his covenant. He promised he would never flood the earth again. After the Great Flood, humanity bounced back, and unfortunately so did wickedness. People were back in their rebellious phase, thinking they were unstoppable. Then came 3 guys. Egos so massive, the flood looked like a puddle in comparison. They kept bragging about themselves, acting like they invented dirt. One of them suddenly had an idea, what if we could make a tower so big it would reach the heavens? It sounded ridiculous. Turns out they were legit about this and even asked their besto friendo to help out, and he agreed gladly. It really looks like they're gonna be struggling now. Have fun building this all by yourselves, but that was until Barbertuman pulled up. And he didn't come alone. He brought his whole bloodline, uncles, cousins, and what looked like the ancestor of LeBron James. So, in no time, the boys got to work like a good boy with too much confidence. The tower was still nowhere near done. Did that stop them? Absolutely not. They kept hyping themselves up like they were better than everyone else on Earth. Then everything changed. The sky darkened. A strange light appeared in the distance, and just like that, the construction zone turned into a holy intervention. They walked toward the light, and there he was, the Creator himself. God looked at them. Too much aura to comprehend. Their egos? Larger than the sun. And somehow they denied it. Great move, boys, you guys are cooked. So God took matters into his own hands. He told them they aren't gonna speak in the same language anymore. And just like that, disaster struck. One guy started to speak Japanese like he was the main character, and one of the boys straight up changed his name to Amir. The tower plans were cooked. No one knew what anyone else was saying. All that teamwork was gone. Then God came back and told them this is what they get. But they didn't even understand and were still yapping. Then one by one they disappeared, scattered around the earth, and the building was left incomplete and was called the Tower of Babel. A couple of years passed after the Tower of Babel incident, and down the road came a man named Abraham. This man wasn't your average dude. He was one of the richest of his time but never was greedy. One of his servants asked if a Krabby Patty was okay for dinner. Another said he just finished polishing a sculpture. Life was good. Abraham had the fries in the bag, a legendary beard, and a beautiful wife named Sarah. But despite having everything a man could dream of, something was missing. He had no son, no one to carry the family legacy, and that started to eat him. So one day, God told Abraham to pack up and go to Canaan. For a second, the boy thought he said Canada. He was already ready for maple syrup, but God corrected him real quick. He promised Abraham something big. He'd become the father of a great nation. Abraham didn't ask questions. He obeyed like a good boy. So he grabbed Sarah, packed the camels, and headed off to Canaan. When they arrived, a cozy tent was already ready. Smooth setup. And eventually, it happened. Abraham had a son. He named him Isaac, a cheerful little guy who was always running around, laughing, probably asking too many questions. Life was good. Until one day, God appeared again. This time, the assignment was tough. The poor boy had to sacrifice his only son, the one he loved so much. Abraham was heartbroken. He just got the boy and now he had to give him up? So he got up early, and as Sarah and Isaac were dancing, Abraham went up, told Isaac to come with him. Isaac, being the wholesome kid he was, just followed along like a good boy and started the journey up to Mount Moriah. As they climbed, Isaac looked around and asked, "Where's the animal offering?" Abraham, keeping it subtle, just said, "You'll see." Abraham told the boy to hop on, and that's when Isaac realized. Abraham pulled up the clippers ready to start the sacrifice. Abraham held the clippers, and right before he went through with it, an angel appeared out of nowhere. Turns out, this was just a test. Abraham passed with flying colors, but bro really almost sacrificed his own son. And from that moment, God knew. Abraham was all in. After Abraham, his son Isaac grew up into a wise man, married a lovely woman named Rebekah, and together they had two jolly boyos, Esau and Jacob. A couple years passed by and Esau became a handsome, hairy boyo. He thrived with the wilderness. And Jacob? Let's just say he wasn't as strong as Esau. The boy struggled to lift an axe, even while using his whole body. As Isaac got old and nearly blind, he decided it was time to pass down his blessing. A big spiritual deal. So he called for Esau and told him to hunt a nice raccoon. Then he'll bless him. But Rebekah overheard everything, and she had a plan. She wanted Jacob to get the blessing instead. So she gave Jacob a raccoon and sent him in like a good boy. Jacob nervously walked into the hut. Isaac, blind as ever, reached out and touched his arms, and thought it was Esau. The raccoon hair was so convincing, Isaac gave the blessing to Jacob, and as he left, Esau came back, raccoon in hand, ready to collect his blessing. But Isaac told him he already gave his blessing, and he doesn't do refunds. Esau was furious. He instantly knew Jacob had tricked him. The boy stormed out full rage mode, ready to track Jacob down and end the family drama real quick. But Rebekah wasn't having it. She managed to hold off Esau, and she rushed Jacob to run. So the boy dipped, no questions asked. He ran straight into the desert. Eventually, night fell, and the boy was tired, so he went to a rock, and that's when it happened. Night fell, and the boy was tired, so he went to a rock, and that's when it happened. Jacob had a crazy dream. A staircase stretching all the way to heaven, angels going up and down, probably doing dance moves on the way. Then God appeared and told Jacob that he would bless him and his descendants. Jacob woke up in shock, but continued on his journey and finally reached his uncle Laban's house, where he was gladly welcomed. Fast forward 20 years later. Jacob met the love of his life, Rachel, married her, started a family. But now it was time to go back. Everyone told him to come back safe. Jacob promised he would. He headed back through the desert, the same one he ran through all those years ago. As he walked alone in the dark, thinking about Esau and what might happen, he suddenly found himself in a mysterious boxing ring. And across from him, his opponent, an angel of God. This wasn't a regular fight. It was spiritual. It was personal. And Jacob He wasn't going down easy. Jacob wrestled the angel all night long. No sleep, no snacks, just pure combat. He wasn't gonna give up. The angel stared at him, but Jacob said I could do this all day. Bro thought he was Captain America. He reached out and smacked Jacob's hip out of place and sent him flying to the corner. Then the angel leaned in, asking if Jacob was finally giving up. Jacob still said, nah, I'd win. The angel felt bad, and Loki impressed. So instead of finishing him, he blessed him on the spot and gave him a new name, Israel. And just like that, Jacob left the ring blessed. But as he was going home, he saw Esau in the distance, rolling deep with his goody gang. Jacob panicked. Boy, why are you panicking? This is light work for you. But the boy brought the Avengers. One guy looked like Ant-Man, another one was solid gold, and some were acting like wannabe werewolves, but there were mutants everywhere. You wrestled an angel boy. You could easily cook them. But to his surprise, Esau ran toward him, not with hands, but with hugs. Turns out Esau had forgiven Jacob a long time ago. He missed his brother. Jacob cried along with his brother, probably even the angels backstage. The family drama was finally over. But Israel's story had only just begun. As Israel aged, he had a son named Joseph, a cheerful, bright-eyed, jolly boyo. One day, Israel gifted Joseph an RGB limited edition marshmallow drip. He did this because he favored Joseph over his other sons. Joseph was grateful like always. Can't say the same for his brothers. They couldn't believe Joseph was getting all the attention. They even wanted to end his life. But the oldest stepped in and told them they should just throw him in a well. So the brothers pulled up on Joseph, but before they deceived him, Joseph told them he had a dream. They were all hay bales, and you all bowed to me. That was the last straw. Instead of clapping, they clapped back. They invited him to hang out and led him into the middle of nowhere and slowly pressed him near the well. Then, as he turned around, it was too late. Joseph, run! No! Why are you dancing? You nearly killed your own brother! Joseph sat at the bottom of the well, scared, confused, and wet. He looked around, hoping for a way out, and there it was. Subscribe now. You should totally do that. But Joseph started spinning in panic like his Wi-Fi just disconnected in a rank game. Meanwhile, up top, as Benjamin, the little brother who barely got any screen time, went out and came across a rich man and asked if he wanted to buy his lil bro. The rich man didn't even blink and just followed him. So quickly, he pulled Joseph out of the well like he was a forgotten shopping bag and handed him over for a couple of shekels. And just like that, the boy was off to Egypt, sold into the house of the rich man. A couple of years passed, and Joseph served his master like a good boy. He did all the cleaning in the house, and the rich man trusted him, until his wife pulled up, trying to get the woo out of him. The situation escalated quickly, but since Joseph was a certified Sigma, he kindly declined the offer and continued his job like a good boy. She was furious. Then the rich man came back in pure anger and asked why he harassed his wife. Then he arrested Joseph and sent him to prison, where he met two handsome individuals. Wait, what? Subscribe for part 2! After Joseph got tossed in prison for something he didn't even do, he found himself stuck in a cell with two handsome individuals, a bald cupbearer and a crusty baker, both fresh off Pharaoh's bad side. The three got along great, but then suddenly the cupbearer changed the subject. He had a dream. It all started as the cupbearer was picking grapes from a vine. Then suddenly, Pharaoh pulled up and Mr. Baldy handed the fresh grapes, and Pharaoh was grateful. Then the baker opened up saying he had a dream as well, saying he was a loaf of bread. Then out of nowhere, birds pulled up and started eating him alive like he was an op. This didn't look like a dream. It was a nightmare. Joseph looked at the cupbearer and said, "You'll get your J-O-B back." Then he slowly turned to the baker and told him he's cooked, literally. The baker blinked and called him a liar. But before anyone could say another word, a guard walked in and told the baker, "You've been sentenced to death." It looks like Joseph was right all along. They all were in such grief until another guard hopped in and told the cupbearer he was free. Looks like Pharaoh wants his juice guy back. Then Mr. Baldy told Joseph he'll tell the Pharaoh to free you the moment he gets there. This was great. So he waited. For days, he was still waiting to be set free. Joseph was getting impatient. Oh, nah, bro is not Gihun. But after a while, Joseph found a new interest. He saw this plant and took care of it day after day after day. He tended the plant like it was his own son until it finally was fully grown. But as he turned around, he spotted something you should do right now. Well, what are you waiting for? While Joseph was still doing reps in prison, Pharaoh was having a full-on crisis. The man had a weird dream, and his so-called wise men were clueless. Let's be honest, they weren't very wise, and half of them didn't even look like men. Then out of nowhere, the cupbearer finally remembered Joseph. Only took him 2 years and a promotion. Then he told Pharaoh he would bring him the boy. He was a bit ashamed since he had forgotten him for 2 years, but Joseph wasn't mad but glad he saw him again. Then Joseph was brought up for the first time in years. Pharaoh started explaining the dream. He was chilling by the river. Then there were 7 fat, juicy cows rolled in like walking Big Macs. But just when it was looking like a Chick-fil-A ad, 7 crusty, bony cows pulled up. Looked like they hadn't eaten since Genesis chapter 1. It looked like Pharaoh had no control over his dream. He was helpless. Then they started eating the fat cows, one by one, until they were all gone. Okay, Joseph, how you gonna explain this nightmare? But Joseph didn't flinch. He calmly broke it down. 7 years of goodies, followed by 7 years of famine. Pharaoh was so impressed he made Joseph second in command of all of Egypt. This was too good to be true. Wait a minute, we have a part 3. After Joseph became second in command of all of Egypt, he immediately started putting his big brain plans into action. He told Pharaoh they needed to store food before the famine hit, so Pharaoh told his men to prepare the goodies. And for 7 straight years, the harvests were massive. It looked like they used the sprinkler method with a couple of moon cats. So quickly, Joseph went over to check on the storage, and wow, this storage was queso feeding level. But just as he was admiring the view, Mr. Baldy popped in using a corny joke. I can tell why Pharaoh had enough of him. And just like that, the famine began. The sun turned ruthless, the fields dried up, and even outside of Egypt, crops vanished. Back in Canaan, Joseph's old home, things were getting rough, so his brothers packed up and made their way to Egypt, desperate for food. As soon as they entered the temple, Joseph saw them for the first time after 22 years. But they didn't recognize him. These boys were the same ones who threw him in a well, now asking for his help. Reuben, the oldest of the boys, stepped up respectfully asking for food to help the family survive. But Joseph asked them if they had a little brother. Reuben kept it real and said yes. Then Joseph told them to bring him next time. Quickly, he handed them the food and sent them off like a good boy. Joseph looked at them as they went away. He missed the boys a lot, despite what they did to him. Back in Canaan, the boys arrived home because they now had to convince their dad to let them take Benjamin, the youngest, most protected boy in the family. Israel hesitated, still scarred from losing Joseph, but finally agreed, so the squad pulled up to Egypt again, and Joseph saw Benjamin and kept his cool. He invited all of them to dinner they couldn't refuse. The table was stacked, beanstalks, candy blossoms, golden mangoes. The whole squad feasted like kings. But as soon as dessert ended, the boys grabbed their bags and dipped. Then out of nowhere, a guard appeared. He stopped the boys cold. Someone had stolen the royal sun blossom. Everyone was shocked, so the guard started checking bags one by one, until Benjamin's bag was opened. There it was, the sun blossom. The guard didn't even wait. He immediately grabbed Benjamin like he was caught in 4K and marched him straight to Joseph. The brothers were stunned. Joseph knew Benjamin didn't steal it, but he tested them by sentencing Lil Benji to death, until they all stepped up wanting to take Lil Benjamin's place. Joseph couldn't handle it anymore, the boys changed, so he revealed himself to be Joseph. The brothers were shocked. They couldn't believe it. They all missed him, and Joseph couldn't stop smiling. Soon after, Joseph had his father Israel brought in from Canaan. The moment they saw each other again, tears. It had been years, but here they were, a family reunited. Israel looked around at his sons, no longer just brothers. Now they were something more. The 12 tribes of Israel.